introduce yourself. Who is everybody? Who are you looking at?
So my name is Matthew Turner. Jeremy and I are business partners, and this is my wife Sarah.
That's awesome.
And we're the 3 founders of Cards for Cubs.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So Cards for Cubs, you've been doing it for a little bit over 2 years, right? 2 years?
Yeah, a little over 2 years.
A little over 2 years. That's awesome. And tell me a little bit how that came to be. Like, how did the idea happen? What was the deciding factor in making this all work?
Right, of course. So it was really about the people, right? It was really because of all of you guys that were involved in it. You know, when Matthew and I started Barely Art, we were looking and we're seeing all of the generosity that was involved. We saw a ton of different of ways that people wanted to give back. And so we kind of came around and thought about it a little bit and figured that a card drive would be something that's very significant and that could be impactful and meaningful for people. And it fit really well with our current audience and the customers that actually already liked our stuff. And it was never supposed to be, you know, something for the business side. It was to channel, you know, this creativity, this energy. And it was just kind of the birthplace of that point.
You know, we were trying to think of a way we could do something to invite our audience to collaborate and do something meaningful. So Jeremy had the idea for the card drive, and my wife was really the one that gave us the inspiration to make it specifically for foster kids.
I was working at a foster care agency as a case manager for children in foster care and supporting foster families, which is a whole community in and of itself. And when we all went into lockdown during the pandemic, it was hard for everybody, but also I was particularly faced with families that were now stuck at home, kids stuck at home, you know, being creative and things for them to do and to participate in a family, something to brighten kids' days. I remember getting mail as a kid and loving it, and it just kind of fit with what you guys were already doing. And so yeah, that's kind of how it all came to mesh.
Yeah, so because of Sarah's background in social work, it really gave us the inspiration to contribute to a very specific cause. So that's how this all started, and we just put the call to action out for our audience, and you guys responded. And really the only reason that we're here today and officially a nonprofit is because so many people contributed to this, and we wanted to remain faithful to letting it become whatever, you know, as much as everyone wants to contribute to support foster kids.
Hi everyone, and welcome to a Cards for Cubs Live, but not just any Cards for Cubs Live, the Cards for Cub Card Drive Kickoff.
Gotta get all those C's in there.
It's a mouthful. But it is a very exciting time because now we are about to be in March. Today's the last day of February. So March 1st is when people can start sending their cards in, and we can receive all of the thousands and thousands of handmade cards that you guys send in every year. We're very excited. It's already started off as a really good year for us. We've got a high number of pledges, and the card drive is not even begun. So we've just starting into there.
Oh yeah, we already have 45,000 pledge cards. Thank you so much to all of you, and 988 card makers that are currently signed up.
Wow,
so we got a good number of people already signed up. And if you don't know where to sign up, go to cardsforcubs.org and click on card makers.
Yes, and this live is exciting. We will have a very special guest on. She's done Cards for Cubs worked with us before. We're really excited to have her back, and I feel like she's always been such a positive influence on Cards for Cubs,
Oh, yes.
always just talking about it and supporting us. So her name is Lovebird Heartworks, and her name is Megan. So we'll have her on in just a second. But before we bring her on, just want to remind everybody, let's see what we have going on in general. So I'm just going to go through the little quick list here. So if you are making cards, I want to go ahead and let you guys know the guidelines, the quick guidelines. So first of all, if you're making cards for Cubs and you'll be donating them, you need to do either birthday or encouragement cards. We don't do holidays or anything else. It's just easy. That's what the foster agencies have asked for, so that's what we're going to give them.
Yes.
In bundles of 10, so the least number of cards you can send in is 10. That is to help us and volunteers sort the cards. We have it's all volunteer work, so we try to make it as easy as possible for counting and things like that. Every card should come with an envelope. So it'll be paired with it. Usually it is underneath that first flap. So you don't want to put the card itself in the envelope because then we have to take it out to look at it and then bundle it again. So try to make the process easy and quick. And on the inside, have a blank or short sentiment. So something like "You're amazing" is great, but writing a whole story in there, not exactly what we want you to be doing. So keep it blank or very short. And then, of course, handmade.
Yes. And it's important to note, too, for all these cards that we have, is that you are just the in-between spot. The final legwork is done by the foster care agencies. Their employees will then take, the care workers will then take your cards, fill them in specific for those kiddos.
Yes. And we'll repeat that throughout this live, but I just want to say it now before I forget or it comes in later.
Yeah.
So, all right, we can go ahead and bring Megan on. She is, again, her handle is Lovebird Heartworks.
Hello.
Hello. It's good. Very good. Very good. Very excited about Cards for Cubs.
Yes.
And we can't wait to get going.
Me too.
Thank you so much for being part of the official kickoff.
I'm so excited. I didn't know this was like the official kickoff. Now I feel
oh yeah, by the way.
a little more nervous. No, it's okay.
Oh, you're perfectly fine on all of this here. Well, I think we have some great cards that we're going to be making, of course, for the Cards for Cubs kickoff here. We'll be making a couple of different ones. That's all right?
Yes. So the one we're making is different than the one that Lovebird Heartworks is making. And then we have another secondary card for afterwards that is actually when you download it, you purchase it, it's $5, and 100% of the proceeds goes to Cards for Cubs.
Yes.
But that card's on the Barely Art website, barely.art. But the card we're making right now is just one that we kind of put together, similar to what you guys will be doing, thinking of your own ideas and such.
Absolutely. All right. So, shall we get to it?
Yes, let's get started.
Okay, I'm gonna.
Wait, are you going to keep the camera on you or are you going to
I
flip
was
it
just
down?
gonna say I'm gonna flip it around. So don't judge.
Okay,
don't
yes.
judge the ceiling fan or the things that are on that side of the
Oh,
camera.
you're fine. You're fine. You're
This is so
absolutely
funny.
fine. All right. While she's doing that there, we can show you our card here.
Yes.
Kind of what we're going to be doing. We'll also be doing a little shaker card as well. A simple shaker.
Yes.
So if you're not familiar with shakers, this is a great intro to one.
Yes, they're so cute and they're so fun and easy. Really, it's just a back layer. We use foam, or we use the Barely Art cubies to give it depth, and then acetate or clearly craft plastic, and then a paper frame. And then on the inside, you just put all the fun little cute things, which is I always love. That's my favorite part about shakers. All the
Me
fun things you
too.
can put inside.
Do you find
Yeah.
yourself looking around and like collecting little things to put inside there? Like, oh, I could put that in a shaker.
Yes. I do that. I've got like random things in the
Yes.
office of like really just like random bags of sprinkles and things. And I was like, this would be a great shaker or great for a shaker later. And
Yes.
so it's just, unfortunately though, I don't have anywhere to put it exactly. So I'll just put things in it and like in like a little case. And then later someone's like, oh, what's in here? And they'll just, I'll open it and it goes everywhere.
A bunch of stuff.
That's
Like my
happened
favorite
before.
stuff is definitely like little clay pieces
Yeah.
and things.
Yeah.
Like these are little avocados that we've had for a
And they have little
while.
hearts.
We've got watermelon, random
So
things.
cute.
I love the little clay pieces.
Yes.
Let's see. I'm realizing this
Looks
is
like a big
backward to you guys. I'm wondering.
Oh, that might be something. I'm not sure if we can
Okay.
flip it on our end. Perhaps.
Oh yeah, I think we can flip it on ours, so
Okay,
you can just
good.
leave it. There we
Okay,
go.
great. I
Oh,
was
fixed
like,
up.
oh no.
All good there.
Okay. All right, wish me luck. I'm gonna try and
No worries.
transfer this vinyl to the
All right.
paper. If if you know, you know.
Our nemesis. Vinyl is our nemesis.
I
Yes,
did
No,
exactly.
I
we
did take
know.
Yeah,
the
but you're able to weed
I
it
did take the
pretty
transfer
good.
and I put it on my shirt a few times to try and take away a little bit of the
Hmm.
tack. So hopefully it doesn't rip the
Oh, good
paper.
technique. Yeah, that's a really good technique.
Yeah,
Yeah, to help it not be so abrasive, I guess.
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, I know it
Hmm.
still needs to be tacky, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And not if you're
Okay.
doing like a whole bunch of them.
Oh yeah.
All right. So we got that there. Okay. So for us,
Ooh.
it's pretty straightforward.
Yes,
Do you
we
have a
were pretty
comment?
straightforward. We did have a comment, and it's exciting. I mean, it's just I'll read it.
Okay. Shoot.
Marlene on YouTube says, "Hello, I can't participate in my making cards this year, so I bought sponsored 2 boxes, and happy birthday SVG today to make it at a later time."
Oh,
So
that's so sweet.
thank
Very
you. Appreciate your
nice. Yes,
support.
thank you so much.
And then Dawn Walsh is back. We love Dawn. She's glad I'm catching you today. So then Debbie asks, how does this work? So you want to explain the journey of Cards for Cubs a little bit?
Yeah, of course. So the way that I guess a holistic idea of cards for cubs in general is that we wanted to find a way that we can kind of combine the crafting experience and the generosities that crafters have, combine that with something that was good, like a good work, right? And something that
Mhm.
wasn't just about selling craft products, right?
Right.
And so the original plan for all of this was, well, we'll throw together something and we'll make a promise to the community. And the promise was that we would deliver your handmade cards to foster care agencies. Now at the time, that was one foster care agency. And then that in the first year, the overwhelming support that we had from all you guys was over 7,000 cards on I think it was pretty much a single email. It's all that was sent. And so we had
Wow.
received around 7,000 cards that first year. We had to look for more agencies. And then fast forward from that point on, we got our 501c designation. It's completely split off in terms of like the company side of things from Barely Art. And then from that, we've been growing. And this year, we're projected to surpass 250,000 cards in total.
Wow.
I know it's crazy to
It's
think about these
many
numbers.
cards.
And we've supported so far around 440. I have this number slightly wrong. Foster care agencies or related foster care agencies.
Wow.
And about what was the other one? It's like I think it's about 3,500 card makers in total. So we
And
had
when
a
was the
lot
first
of
year of
people in
doing
support.
this?
So the first year we started all this was 2020, and that was the official like card drive itself.
Okay.
And so that very first year. It was right at the beginning of COVID too. So there's other concerns. Like now that you mention it, some of the concerns were like, well, I mean, if we got all these donated cards from all across the U.S., maybe we should quarantine these cards for a few for a few
Mm,
weeks. So we did. Like we threw all the cards in basically a room and left them there for I think it was 2 or 3 weeks.
Mm,
Just in case, because that's back when we had no idea what COVID even was,
right.
and
That's
no
smart.
information on it either. So we're like, okay, the last thing we want to do is give these to a bunch of kids
Aw.
Right
and get them all
away.
sick. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of how we started with that. And from that part, we've evolved and been able to work with a lot of different agencies as well. So if you're familiar kind of with the foster care system, as broken as it is,
Mhm.
there are a lot of different agencies that get involved. So the primary that we started off with helping was directly those foster care agencies, right?
Mhm.
So that's talking about like the caseworkers, and everyone that's directly in charge of the family themselves. And then over time, we were thankful to work with different CPSs. We've been able to work with Texas DFPS as well. We've worked with a lot of casas as well too, which is the volunteers that help in court. And so we've been really blessed to be able to support a lot of different people that aren't necessarily just the agencies themselves, but anyone that has connections to foster care as a
Mhm.
whole. So it's been a wild journey for sure. You.
Yes.
It's absolutely
We
amazing and incredibly inspiring too.
And all because of the generosity of people like you. I know that sounds
Mm.
cliche, but it's very, very true. We definitely could have done it. And honestly, we were expecting like maybe 100 cards the first time around.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh.
And we
Far
were, yeah,
surpassed your hopes and
far
expectations.
surpassed. Yes,
That's
absolutely.
amazing.
Absolutely.
And Lovebird, you've always been such a supporter. I mean, you were a supporter of Cards for Cubs before even I started working for Barely Art. Guy started and he was just like, "Oh, you should talk to Lovebird. She's great. She loves
Hmm.
Cards for Cubs." And
Oh.
I actually don't think I've gotten to talk to you too much over the years. A little bit here and there for the lives and things or the kickoffs, but um, I'm curious, like, what got you so involved with Cards for Cubs?
Well, of course, crafting and card making, right? That's kind of the
Mhm.
Hmm.
obvious. But foster and adoption have a special place in my heart. Adoption was my mom was adopted. Um,
Mm.
Okay.
you can't see my face. I'm trying not to cry. She actually passed in 2012.
Mm.
But my husband and we've discussed it that if we were ever in a place of financial standing, that we've always seen our family with one more. Um,
Hmm.
and that, if my body couldn't do it, that foster or adoption would be the way to go.
Right.
And I just think that, in this world these days, there's so much more love that could be shared. And I think that a lot of precious little kiddos out there, teenage kiddos, young adults, that
Hmm.
they need to feel that. They need to know that they're loved and cherished and precious and all of those things. And I just can't imagine the mental struggle of maybe their possible situations. So when I was shown about Cards for Cubs through Barely Art, I just jumped on it immediately.
Yeah.
um you just have like some things have your name on it and some don't, and that immediately had my name on it. So, woo, excuse me. Yeah.
Oh, you're quite all right. Yeah.
Aw,
Well, thank you so much for sharing. Yeah,
yeah.
that's it's hard. These kids are coming in from very tough situations, and they're
Yeah.
often ripped from their homes. And even if it is an abusive home, it's still the home that they know and they grew up with.
Mhm.
And the only thing they're given is whatever the caseworker can give them, plus whatever clothes they were able at the moment.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you have such a heart. I can't say that about everyone, but you have such a heart.
Oh, thank you. I had to stop working for a second. I'm cleaning up my face over here. I just, I don't know. I just love what you guys do. And, this not only is it my favorite glue, literally, but I think that the heart behind your brand is, it's great. So I'm just excited and I'm honored and excited to be here with you today.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We really appreciate it. So we'll also start talking a little bit about the different ways that you can get involved, right? So we have
Mhm.
4 different ways that you can get involved with Cards for Cubs. The first one is what we're doing right now, which is card making, right?
Yes,
And
the
we've
classic.
the classic way, the original
The
way
original way, it
to get
started it
started with Cards
all.
for Cubs, right? And that one is, again, just real quickly, let's see if I can do it really fast. The requirements are birthday and encouragement. I'm cheating. Birthday and encouragement, bundles of 10, paired with envelopes, handmade, and either blank or a short sentiment. Aha! Look at that. It's only taken this many years to get that down, right?
Yes. So those are our main 5 guidelines. There are, if you guys have more specific questions, which a lot of times people do. I didn't realize how many questions someone might have about making a card.
Mhm.
Because honestly, I don't make a lot of cards, except for during March around
During
Cards for
card, yeah.
Cubs.
Mhm.
And so a lot of people who are card makers on the daily would have these very specific questions like how big the card can be, what's your recommended, I can't remember, like shipping, and just like a lot of questions.
Mhm.
So if you go to the cardsforcubs.org on our
Mhm.
website, then you can go to see the card guidelines, and
Yeah.
there's a bunch of other things that help answer your questions. But those 5 basic ones are what we usually stick to as far as mentioning. And then also on the Cards for Cubs Instagram, there's a video that our good friend and teammate Grace put together. And it goes through those, just kind of showing you what we're talking about. That way, if you need like a visual,
Yes, if you
it's there to
yes,
help you out.
exactly, yes. We can say it all the time, every single time, but then when you actually see, oh, this is how they actually go out,
Mhm.
this is
Mhm.
how they're actually packaged, it's a little bit easier to tell that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Check out that video on our Instagram, the
yes.
Cards for Cubs.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had to visit
So you can
that.
check that
I
out.
had to visit that website when I was designing this one because
Oh, yeah.
I was
Yeah.
looking at it and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is a 5x7 card." And so I needed to make sure that you guys would accept a card because for me, a 5x7
Mhm.
card kind of feels large. But I but
Mhm.
I wanted it to be big enough that you could kind of really see it on the live and but you guys do take 5x7s. So
Mhm.
I was stoked to see
Yes.
that.
Yeah, pretty much any of the standard size cards are things that we'll take. The main thing that I would say is just if you have the hardest part is just getting envelopes with
Mm-hmm.
it, right? So if you're making a uniquely sized card that doesn't have an envelope or it's an envelope that doesn't fit very well,
Mhm.
well, if you can change the size, it'll help us out, especially on the sorting end, because you can imagine when we start sorting, uh, well, let's see, last year was 70,000 cards.
Mhm.
It takes some time, so we try we try to do it, relatively efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and we try and do it all in one day because we
Mhm,
pair up with the last couple years, last year and then this year again, we're going to
mhm,
pairing up with our local college that's not
mhm,
too far from our office, and they have this great event where they gather a bunch of volunteers and they go out to different nonprofits.
mhm.
And we were lucky enough to make contact with them, and they
Yes.
are so kind and gracious enough to be let us be part of that. So they're going to get all these kids, but for one day,
Ooh,
for a few hours. So we have to be pretty efficient. We gotta be
definitely.
like, okay, everyone,
Yes.
here's the
Oh,
rules.
yes, yes.
So those guidelines help us as well
Exactly, yeah.
get
Yeah.
them done, especially being all volunteer based.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, we
Oh,
need
yeah.
to
It
keep it
takes it
simple.
yeah, we have to be very
Takes a
organized, and it helps
village.
if you guys help us be a little organized.
Takes a
Yes.
village,
Exactly, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
Definitely.
last year, I think we had them for about 4 hours, and they knocked out, I think was around half or more than half,
More than half. It was
3/4 all within just a few hours. And so we're very, very thankful for that because historically we've had to have a lot of volunteers come in person and
mhm.
kind of go through the sorting process and things. And it just takes a lot of time. And then of course you have to retrain at every time new volunteers come in, and not everyone
Mhm.
quite
Mm-hmm.
understands it or gets it. So it's nice to have just a whole bunch of people all at once at UTA, the students at UTA there. Check out your I don't know what they call it,
The big event?
the big event. Yes,
Yes.
that's right. Check out the big event and see if you can sign up for that for our thing at the Cards of Cubs. The good thing about that too is that we're actually going to be on campus, so
Yes.
we'll be right there, and it's an easy sign up for the students there at
A great help to us.
UTA. Hmm.
That's great. I wish I lived closer. I'd come and support you guys.
So that's the.
I know we have so many friends online, and we're just like, man, we wish they were
Yeah,
closer. The closest one we got is Anne. She actually
I
moved from
and yes,
know.
California to
yes.
Texas, and now
Hmm.
she's come into the office a couple times.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, Anne's the closest
Trying to
one
hide
right
my
now.
jealousy.
Um, but there's there's just not a lot of our friends up in Dallas, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know why that's the case, but
Artists and crafters are all over.
That's true. I think we're.
Yes.
I agree.
I've made the shaker to my card.
I forgot the space. There we go.
Sparkly.
Yeah.
I love it.
So as you saw
Are you
there, we
guys
just put a
almost
little layer
already
of
done?
QBs around that.
With the first card, but that's okay because we have a second one.
Okay,
got
I'm
two.
like, wait, I'm already hearing shaking. What's happening?
No worries. We're all good.
Oh yeah. Take your
I've got
time on that.
my
We've got two.
okay. I've got my spacers ready, my layers. I'm
Mhm.
just assembling the shaker right now. We had success with the vinyl on both the
All
acetate
right.
and on the
Oh, wow, that's
paper.
great. Yeah.
So today is a great day.
It is a great day when acetate goes your way. Did I just rhyme random?
You
Okay.
did.
I love it when that happens.
Completely unintentional. I don't know where that came from. All right.
Let's
There.
see.
I love foil paper.
Yeah, I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see some of the other ways. I don't think we finished talking about the other
No, we
ways we can
didn't. So
support
we
Cards
have
for
two,
Cups.
right? So we had the two. We have the in-person volunteers,
Yes.
right? We have card makers,
Of
course. The third one is if you're a foster care agency or work with foster kids, you can request cards on our website, the cardsforcups.org, not the cards for cups, cardsforcups.org. And you can go on there and set up a request. Once you have an account in our system, then you can pretty much go in there and order at will. Now, I will say that we run the card drive just through the end of March because we have to cut it off at some point, and we don't collect all year round. So if you're not putting in those orders by probably April, well, end of April, then there might not be cards left, depending.
Right.
Last year we sent out, I believe it was 900 cases, about 900 cases, because we had some every year we collected like a little bit extra, and so we had a lot of extra cards here and there, so we actually sent out about double what we normally would have.
Wow.
But this year we're cleaned out, so
Very good.
so we already don't have any cards. So only the cards that are coming in for this year are going out this year. So make sure to put in those orders if you're a foster care organization. It's pretty quick. You just fill out a little form, and then we verify you to make sure that you are who you say you are.
Yes. And if you're a foster care organization, tell your other organizations about us. We want to send cards because the more cards we get, the more places we need to send them to. So
Exactly. Yeah.
although this year we don't have, I mean, we're starting off with pretty much zero.
Practically zero.
We'll have plenty of cards to give away, and I hope lots of places to send them to. And then the other thing I was going to say is to tell your other agencies, and then also Chelsea, who does our customer service, she mentions that sometimes foster agencies have newsletters that they share about people that they work with. So
That's good, yeah.
tell, you know, I'm just throwing it out there. If you're a foster agency or know of one, you might want to share the Bailey or the Cards for Cubs news.
Yep, absolutely. And so that brings us to our fourth way, and probably the most important for this year, the way that you can help support us is to become a sponsor.
Yes.
And so you can do it in 3 different ways. You can sponsor a case. So a case, a kindness case is what we call them, is a box of around 150 cards. And what we do is that we have our volunteers make those cards up with the cards that we receive in. And from that point, for I believe it's $20 for each one, we'll sponsor one of those cases for all the shipping and handling and everything else to get that whole box to its destination to those foster care agencies. So what we do as an organization is that we want to provide no cost service completely to those organizations. So we rely solely on donations in both cards and by sponsoring. And if you don't want to do a specific case or you have something in mind, you can also do a one-time donation, or you can sign up for a monthly donation. And I believe there's also, but if you do want to sponsor a case, we do have some
gifts.
Gifts, yes.
So if you sponsor a case, sponsoring one case is $20. So that's about how much it costs for us to get our cards bundled together and sent on their way. And if you would like a little gift, if you do $20 donations to sponsoring one case, you can get a set of stickers. So they're really cute. I thought stickers are just kind of like a way you can start sharing about it. We were trying to think of ways that might make it easier for people to talk about Cards for Cubs because That's what we need everyone to talk about it. If we could get everyone in the world talking about Cards for Cousins, we'd be
Yeah,
so
for
happy.
Mm-hmm.
So those little stickers you can put on your laptop or a notebook or something. And then if you sponsor 2 cases, which would be $40, you get a mug, and it's really cute. It's got a little saying on it, and it says, "Ask me how crafting can
make a difference.
make a difference."
Mhm.
Yes.
I love
The
that.
next, I love that one too. The next one is 3 cases for $60. You can get a journal that says the same sentiment. 4 cases, $80 is a tote with the same sentence, and then lastly is $100 when you get a T-shirt that
Mhm.
says that, which
Yes.
I think that might be my favorite one, and I
Yeah.
want that T-shirt. So
Yeah, we don't actually have one in the office for
I
some
know
reason.
we're wearing old
We're wearing
Cards for
old
Cousins.
CSC shirts.
But that one's a
Oops.
fun one too. Again, it says,
Vintage.
"Ask me how crafting can make a
Vintage.
difference." Vintage.
Vintage CFC.
So we got that option. But of course, some people actually don't want to gift. They just want to sponsor a case and do good without getting anything back. And there is an option under all those on the sponsor case
Yes.
page that it says sponsor without a gift. So you can just give.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. We have a few different ways on there. So
Yes.
to sum up everything, there's the 4. It's be a card maker.
Yes.
It's if you're a foster care agency, and
In-person
volunteers. And then, of course, sponsoring, which is the one that we are working on right now. Our goal for that one is, I believe, is 450, correct?
Yes.
450 sponsor cases is what we're shooting for, because that's about how many we expect to get this year. Now, that could always change a little bit depending on how many people actually send in cards. Last year, we're a little bit on the surprise side, so we were able to send them all out. And another thing to note too is that all the proceeds, whenever we say donations and things like that, Cards for Cubs does not have any sort of payroll or anything else. All the
Nope.
money is literally going to shipping cost and making sure their website runs. And I
Yes.
think that's it.
Everything else is
Everything else is volunteer. Well, voluntold labor from earlier. We'll put it that way around.
That's great. That is great.
So,
I'm
we want to make
done.
sure all that's going there.
Oh,
wow.
it's beautiful.
Very nice.
I
like
love
that one a lot.
that.
Got
That is
some
a
little
great
sprinkles in
card.
there.
Yes,
Some
actually, in
fun.
fact, someone on YouTube asked where you got the shaker sprinkles.
So these were from glitiful.com. My precious friends over at Glitiful, they are no longer in business. I think COVID
no.
hit a lot of small businesses really hard.
Yeah.
And then there's also been some really wild weather over on the East Coast the past few years, so that really took them by surprise. But the rest of these I got from Michael's. And these are not edible. These are polymer clay.
Okay,
So
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for a
I
second I
just
was
keep them
like,
on the toppy shelf in my craft room so my children don't eat them. We have sweet teeth in this house. And then these are also from Michael's. But really, like we were talking about it earlier, I just have my eyes open for all sorts of things to fill these with,
Yeah.
and also even when it comes to like the plastic to use to seal it in. Um I don't like hoard trash, but these
Oh wow, yeah.
like these were in some sort of like a kit that my daughter got with little like a little jewelry
pieces and
kit.
things. Yeah.
And when it came time to like empty out all of this stuff into a more feasible storage caddy, I was like, I'm gonna need to save that. So, even something like that can be trimmed off and used as a really 3D shaker
Yeah.
bit.
Oh,
Or a
great.
little
Yeah, that's pretty
containment
cool.
unit.
Like a what do they call it? Like the bubble or bobble
Oh,
kind of things.
baubles.
Yeah. But like in a
Yes.
different
And
shape. Yeah. I like that a lot.
definitely.
That's a good idea.
Bath bombs come with like the really big domes. You can go crazy.
Oh,
You can go
Yeah.
crazy with those. They even make like bath bombs in fun little shapes like purses. So
Oh,
one year for my
cute.
daughter, I used like the little purse bath bomb plastic, and I folded it up and put like a little origami heart dollar bill in
Mhm.
there. Like
Aw.
and I put like some slits in the back to make sure that she could get it out without destroying it. But um super fun. I like to gather
Yeah,
things.
I don't think I'll ever see packaging the same again.
Oh my gosh. I'm
Like, wait
so
a
glad to hear
second,
you
what is
say
this
that.
for? Like, maybe we shouldn't just throw this away.
Right? Dedicate a little drawer. Like keep it to just one drawer. Do yourself a favor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true, yeah. If the drawer gets filled, then maybe no more. Or you gotta throw away
Yeah.
something in the drawer.
Or
Mhm.
just
Kinda
make
how I
some
feel about the
cards and
house.
give them away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It's like, how many
Make
And I
pounds of things went in
know
the house?
I know you
Should we get that out of
mentioned
the
you mentioned dimensions. How
mention
thick can these
dimensions.
cards be to be able to send? Like I think I'm at about a 1/4 inch thickness right here.
Yeah,
Is that too
That's
thick?
fine. I don't know if we have it like
that's
written
not a
out.
specific thing.
Generally, I would say it's about, let's see, our tallest QB
About a quarter.
is a 1/4
Yeah.
inch, so double that, 1/2 inch if you
Yeah,
like
I
did
mean
2 stacks, but probably a quarter. About
the main thing to think about is just remember that the card is being shipped and passed through a lot of different hands.
very
So
true.
For
so
sure.
the flatter it is, I'm not going to say the better per se, but
The safer, perhaps,
the
for the
safer is
card.
probably it depends on what you're doing too. Because like if you have like one or two elements that are only like very small and they're very tall, that's probably not going to work too much.
Mm-hmm.
Something like this, the similar things that you and I just made, are perfect for this because they're wide, right?
Mhm.
And they're not
Mm-hmm.
going to even if they get knocked around a little bit, they're not going to get too damaged because it is going to be shipped from everyone individually to us and organized and looked at again, be
Mhm.
packed a second time, and then shipped back out. So
Yes.
there's a couple of different shippings there.
So also, you
So
just don't want your card to be too fragile.
right, yes,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, fragile is probably
Mhm.
the best way of putting it, rather than the
Yeah.
thickness, I would say.
I tried to make sure to really use a good amount of glue. Like, luckily, I don't have to use
Yes.
too much because otherwise this would explode in transit. But
Right, exactly,
you
yeah.
know,
Yeah, you
which could
definitely
be
wanna
fun
make sure
too.
it's
But
secure. We have seen people too put them like in little plastic, like if they're I mean, the actual real, like, serious
Real deal.
card makers will always have, like, the little plastic, I guess,
mm-hmm.
Sleeve sort of
protectors
thing.
and
Yeah.
sleeves with it. You can take it a step up and do something like that, but most of the cards we get are closer to what we just made.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is probably the safest,
The
easiest for
safest and easiest,
volunteers
yeah,
wise.
exactly, yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us, Megan. I think we're going to continue on with one more card, but we will say
Okay.
bye to you
All
for
right.
now. Remember, guys, all through March 1st to March 31st, we are accepting cards. So please
Yes.
send it in, I'm soon. And thank you so much for joining
Yes,
us.
we appreciate it. Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you. And if anybody wants the templates for these, I have this one, and then I'm gonna do one more, but maybe I'll keep that one secret. Maybe you'll see it in my feed. I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
But I have this
That
one,
sounds
and then I
good.
have another one that says "You are awesome," and that's gonna go this way. Kind of the same style, the vinyl on
Mhm.
top of the acetate with the shakers
Mhm.
and stuff like that. But if you want this template, find me and send me a message. I would love to just give it to you.
Yes, remember, you are on Instagram as lovebird_heartworks, correct?
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
Perfect.
Oh, you got it.
So check her out. Right now, I believe you're in our Instagram story. You should be tagged on there too. So if you guys
Yeah.
want to check that out, go ahead and see it.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for
Thank you.
joining
You guys
us.
enjoy
Appreciate
the
it.
rest of your day.
Mhm. Yes, you
Thank you
too.
too. All right, so we have one more card to make as we continue to talk about Cards for Cubs. As again, this is our official kickoff.
The official kickoff.
The official
kickoff.
kickoff.
All
right.
right. So for this card here, it's a little bit different
It is a
because
little different.
this one's on our website, barely.art,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a donation of $5. Is that correct?
Yeah, so if you there are, I believe 3 cards right now on Bailey.art that if you purchase for $5. All the 100% of proceeds goes to Cards for Cubs.
Mhm.
So it is this happy birthday card. Then there is we made it, I think, round earlier in the month. It's a little bears that hugging each other. It's like
Oh yeah, that one.
bear
Yes.
friend card,
Yeah, I
and
think
it's so cute. It's up
we
there.
have it.
They're on the wall.
Yeah, they're hiding.
And then there's one more card. I can't remember what it is. That's like the $5 one.
Mhm.
But so there's just a few of them. We don't generally sell the card ones for so I guess quote unquote high. Not very high in general, but
Mhm.
donations we went ahead and did $5,
Yes.
which actually has been really good. People have actually been buying them, and it's been getting donated to Cards for Cubs,
Yeah,
which is
no, it's
awesome.
an easy way if you have a couple extra dollars to donate or to tack on to your order, something along that
Mhm.
lines. It's a great way to support us without having to, get into another website and fiddle around with other things, etc. But yeah, all that goes straight to Cards for Cubs, pretty much every month. So
Mhm. Very good. And then other ways, since we're talking about donations to Cards for Cubs, if you are on Barely Art and you're purchasing glue, you can leave a tip. And it is not a tip for us, for me personally, where I'm going to go home and be like, great, now I can get myself
no,
a
it's
little
not.
like treat or something.
No.
No, that is a tip that goes to Cards for Cubs, so
Yep.
that all goes there, which has also
Mhm.
been very helpful. It's just honestly, most of the time people don't do like leave a big tip, which is fine. They just like a few
Yeah,
dollars,
no,
and it
round.
adds
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
It does
all
really
rounds.
good.
Exactly. Yeah. Just a little bit there helps, and it helps to go to make a full case, and we go from there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we currently have. Let's see here. We have 35 sponsor cases right now on Cards for Cubs. So if you love to sponsor case, you love what we do, but can't make cards, you can always go to our website, cardsforcubs.org, and click on the sponsor section there. You can sponsor a case, or you can do a one-time donation, whatever it is that you please.
Yes, we got a lot of options. You can always, if you have more questions, please feel free to reach out on the
Exactly,
website to the customer service agent, which would be Chelsea. She's also our customer service for Barely Art, and she's always so happy to answer these questions
Absolutely.
with all you kind-hearted people.
Yes. And pretty much any question, too, that you may have.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we got this thing going on here. So I think it's about time we go over some of the requirements again, because most of you that are watching us on the Barely Art channel are crafters. So
Yes.
because you're crafters, we should always go over the crafting requirements, right? So if you'd like to join us, the requirements are that one, it has to either be a birthday card or an encouragement card, and that's because that's what the foster care agencies themselves have requested. It's really hard to do holiday cards because the timing of it is very difficult.
Yes, and if you're doing a holiday, let's say, for example, I'm going to go on a small tangent. If you guys had donated Christmas cards and the agency has to hold on to them,
Yes.
if they ordered at the beginning of January, they have to hold them on them all year long, and they don't want to do that. They don't have a lot of space. They have other things they've got to take care of. So encouragement and birthday cards are what's it called evergreen.
Yeah, they're evergreen on it. It makes it a little bit easier for anyone to pick up during those times.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first one. There's birthday and encouragement. The second one is bundled in packs of 10.
Yes.
So of course, when we're bundling, again, as we've talked about before, we like it in 10 because they're easy to count. Makes it easy for us, makes it easy for the volunteers. We sometimes get questions on how do you bundle them, etc. I would say my favorite way of doing it, and it depends on the type of card you have, but my favorite way is just doing like little paper strips.
Paper strips.
Like you have a little strip of paper and you just kind of fold it around and then tape it. And the reason for that is because, again, it's easier for us to look through it very quickly because we do open it and make sure that all the cards are appropriate, right? We don't want anything that's inappropriate sending to our kids. So we want to make sure that it's easy for all of our volunteers to look through them. So when you do it in bundles of 10 like that, it makes it a lot easier for everyone.
Yes.
And counting on top of that.
And
too.
counting. We have to count thousands of beautiful, wonderful cards.
Exactly.
Like thousands.
Yeah, quite literally. So we've got that there. The next one is that they have to be paired with envelopes.
Yes.
Right. So we want to make sure that everyone is able to keep their cards safe. So whenever they go out, that they are protected, right? And sometimes, you know, if you have an odd size card and an odd size envelope, then it doesn't really matter. But if you just have an odd size card, it's really hard sometimes for us to match the two together, right? And so
Yes.
Andrea has a little example here that she'll kind of show you on what we mean.
So you don't have to
Like
match it. Like
paired.
it doesn't have to be
Like,
pink
yeah,
and pink
right.
and matchy. Some people ask that it can be different colors, but we don't want you to put the card in the envelope. Don't do that, please. We want you to just put it right here under the envelope lid like
just like
this,
that.
so we can just take a quick look. Okay, looks fine, and then send it on its way. Or you can stack your envelopes together, all 10, and then all your 10 cards, and then just put them like this. Envelopes on here, cards up here, and then just tie them together. And that will work
Or
perfectly
string.
fine.
Another one
Or
is string.
string,
Yeah, the
yes.
string's another good one to use if you don't want to do
Mhm.
like the paper fold as well. We really just we're trying to avoid like things that are going to like damage the cards.
Right.
Right. That's the
Damage your
big one.
beautiful
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah. Of course, it also has to be handmade, which is our number 4. Right. So we accept handmade cards. We don't want you to just go and buy store-bought cards.
We appreciate the thought. However, we're trying to put just a little more thought
Yes,
into
a
it
little
for the
more
kids.
thought.
They feel connected almost. They don't
exactly, yes.
have their thing, so it's kind of nice to be able to have something that's
Mhm.
so thoughtfully made. Let's say.
Exactly, yes. So we got that. And the last one there is it either needs to be blank or have a short sentiment inside. And by
Yes.
short sentiment, we don't have a list of approved sentiments or anything like that. But
Mhm.
as long as it's pretty generic, right? And as long as we don't want to offend anyone. And even though there's a lot of well-meaning cards out there, sometimes, you know, saying "hang in there" isn't the best type of sentiment to put for it. So again, like we're saying here, you're awesome, you're amazing, things along that lines.
Yes, very positive.
Positive cards is what we're looking for there, because we don't want to have the kids be reminded of their current situation.
It is a very emotional time.
It is.
Try and like talk about it in an honest way.
Yes.
And keep it's such a good cause, and it's so fun to talk about, and like this kind generosity that you guys put forth. And so we're really happy about it, but it is a very hard time for these kids. So that's what we're trying to bring up their spirits, bring, love and hope and kindness and joy to them, not something that reminds them that they are going through something difficult, but reminds them that they aren't alone while going through something difficult.
Exactly, yes. And of course, they'll have other people around them as well. And so what we're trying to do here at Cards for Cubs is to empower them in order to give a little bit even more special to them. Because as we know, or maybe we don't know, caseworkers and anyone that works in the foster care industry, and it's sad to say that it is an industry at this point, but anyone that works in those systems are usually very overworked and typically underpaid. And so what we're trying to do is be able to help them to bring a little bit more light to the kids and not just be treated as a number.
Right.
We don't want kids to be treated as a number, even though they often are, even by the system itself. So we also get a couple questions on like the average or like the age of the cards or how old the cards should be for the kids. I said that a little backwards, but how
age
old
appropriateness for
yes.
the cards.
And so what we say is that we try to keep it generic for any kid, because you have to remember that the average age of a child in foster care is 8, but that's only because there's such a big range of them, right? You're having from
Right.
babies all the way up to 18-year-olds as well. So we are trying to have a good variety. We don't separate by ages or anything else, really. We're really just sorting by birthday and encouragement. Those are the two things that we have. And trying to keep it generic for anyone. Because remember, at the end of the day, not a random card is going to a random kid. We have the caseworkers and those that work directly with those kids and families. Those are the ones that'll be picking those cards. So we're trying to give them an assortment of cards, and then they can pick from there. Like, oh, well, I know that Johnny likes dinosaurs, so I'm going to grab this dinosaur card, etc. Right?
Correct.
That's what we're trying to do here. So there's a lot of different ways that you can help out with that and do that. I think, is there any other common questions that you can think of?
There was one I remembered while you were talking, actually. We get most sense, I think it's like we've been DM'd a lot of, can I put my personal information in the card or on the
yes.
back, because maybe people have like stamps that has their name on it,
Sure.
and maybe where they like are sending it from. So it's like,
Mhm.
oh, it's Annie Martin from Florida,
Yeah.
and that's fine. You can put that on the back, no big deal.
Mhm.
Excuse me, but don't put like your phone number or an address, anything
Right,
like
yeah.
that. Like where they, you're not trying to be contacted. We don't want people to be
Yes.
kind of, because those wouldn't be allowed. They
Right,
would not give that
exactly,
to the
yeah.
kid. So
Exactly.
your name is fine. You know,
Name
your
is fine, your
state,
stamp's usually
your little
fine.
stamp, your, if you have like your Instagram
Yeah.
handle, that's okay. But don't put like phone numbers
Yeah,
and
no phone
personal information.
numbers. We're not trying to contact the kids, that type of thing. I mean, we don't even know most of the time where the cards are actually going or how they're being used because
Mhm.
it is, you have to remember too, they're wards of the state, right? So they belong to the state at that point. And so because of that, things such as, taking even photos with kids that are in foster care are not allowed,
Right.
right? So we
They're
have to
the
protect
middleman.
them. Exactly. You have to protect them, you have to protect their identities as well. So you can certainly, like Andrea said, certainly put something on there that has, state, first name, something along that lines, or
Mhm.
or the, like a lot of people do have the, what is it, like handcrafted by so and so, things like that, perfectly fine. We just recommend putting that on the back, not inside the card, but just put on the back of the card, or perhaps even like I've seen people stamp like the back of the envelope or something like that. Just put it in a non-conspicuous place.
Yes.
Because remember, the foster care, the caseworker, the CASA worker, the volunteer is going to be writing on the inside of that card, so they'll need as much room as possible for that.
Mhm. And then I was going to mention
Mhm.
that we had a comment from Debbie,
Mhm.
and let's see, no, I'm sorry, from Don Walsh,
Mhm.
and she said, "My friend jokingly challenged me to make 365 cards this year.
Oh,
So
wow.
far, I've made 110.
Wow, there we
So
go.
that's amazing.
110 is amazing, yes.
Well on your way to achieving that goal."
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much.
Let's see. Okay, Debbie asked, "Can it be any card, or do they have to be specific cards?" Like we said, just the birth date and encouragement. And then where do we mail them to? So you'll be mailing them to Cars for Cubs headquarters, and
Yes.
that information is when you go and you pledge your cards, you'll get a donation form, and it'll give you the address.
Yes. So, okay, yeah, that's the other thing too. When you get ready to send your cards, you have to include your donation form, right? Your donation form is very important to us because that's how we actually are recording all the numbers of different cards, and it's really important to us because we know how many cards we can actually give out, right?
Right.
And that's a hard part because we don't want to overpromise or we want to underpromise the amount of cards. So, one thing to note too is that it's important that for you to update that number if you changed it, right?
Mhm.
So the same way that you did you signed up, the same process that you used to sign up. If you have a different amount of cards than we signed up with, just go back into that and it'll say update the amount of cards you have here. And you'll be able to update that number. It lets us know how many cards we'll be receiving and we have a better accurate count for later.
Precisely.
Indeed.
Let's see, and then I'm trying to think. I don't see any other questions about Cards for Cubs right now. Merlene says, "I grew up in foster care during my teenage years, so I'm sure this is actually pretty close to home for you." I feel like we've gotten a few people that have supported Cards for Cubs. They often have sent notes or messages or
Yes.
emails to us and telling us why
Yeah.
it matters so much to them. And
Mhm.
oftentimes it's because they have some sort of connection to foster care, whether it was them personally, whether they have been foster parents, whether their parents,
Mhm.
like Lovebird Heartworks has said her mother
Mhm.
was adopted. Like there's a lot of connection out there. There's more than I was actually aware of, honestly. And maybe it's because people just don't talk about it or aren't sure where they can, have that platform, but we're
Right.
happy to be there.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult situation. And oftentimes, I mean, one of the things that we had talked about too, is that off the state's goal is typically reunification, right? So
Mhm.
sending them back to the family that they came from. But because that's their priority, oftentimes these kids are rubber banding, right? Meaning they're going back and forth from an abusive home, and it's really hard to get them out of that situation.
Mhm.
And so they can enter the foster care system several times. And there's a couple stories of kids that actually have gone back and forth 3 or 4 times before the state did anything about it, right? And during all that time, it's very traumatic. So we have a very small amount of time that we can try to make a difference, right, in their lives. And so hopefully in a small way, even as simple as a card, gives them some more hope that there's other people out there besides their small circle of people that actually care about them. And that's what we're trying to do.
In fact, we had someone who was on design team a long time ago. I believe her name was Samantha, and her Instagram was Koi Crafting.
Oh,
And
yes.
she made a card with us, and that card was a replica of one she had received because she was in foster care.
Right.
And she said it had made such an impact that she had kept that card for years,
Yeah.
well into her adulthood years, when she was growing up, married, had kids of her own and such. And she said just was so powerful.
Yeah.
So it's, if you're ever like wondering, well, what good can a card do? Like a big difference.
Yes.
Like, to make it.
It definitely can. And that's the thing too. It's like if you have a story like that of how a card, it doesn't have to be Cards for Cubs, but how a card made a difference in your life, please send it over. We'd love to hear more about it. We often don't hear the stories that come after the fact. And we'd love to hear more about those stories after the fact. I think, did we have somewhere on the website?
We had on our Instagram, if you go to the links page on the Cards for Cubs on Instagram, there's a place that says share my story, and you can submit your story in PDF. You can type it up there and leave a message, and you can even send in a video.
Yes.
Because we would love to be able to share that, and
Absolutely,
that just kind of like almost proving the power of a card.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, the cards are basically the only way that, well, one of very few ways where you can capture an emotion, right? Especially a handmade card, not just a card, it's happy birthday from grandma, right?
Right.
But a card that actually has a lot of thought into it, some focus specifically on handmade cards. It's something that has a lot of thought to it. And the message inside carries the weight of, and oftentimes that's really what brings it all together. All right.
We're getting to finishing this card here.
Getting very close.
Very cute. It's been a lot of fun. I like this card. It's a fun one. This is a Cricut friendly card. You can download it on the Barely Art website, barely.art. It is $5, and those $5 do go to Cards for Cubs. So 100% of proceeds, that is for them.
Yes, indeed.
And then there are a couple others on there. Take your pick. There are some free ones as well still. So if you just want to make the cards and send them in, that is, we welcome it very much.
Yes, we absolutely do.
So, and then let's see. I think there's one thing we just haven't mentioned yet.
What is that?
Is that our goal for this year?
Oh, yes.
Yes. So in 2023, how many cards did we raise?
In 2023, it was about 70,000 cards that we raised. It was
2024.
I'm sorry, 20. Wow, yeah, that's right.
2023, we raised 46.5 thousand cards.
Yes.
So that is a very, very many cards. Last year,
yes.
And so this year, we raised 100,000 of kids that come in and out of foster care each year.
Very close, yeah. I mean, it fluctuates all the time. Like the time that a kid is in foster care is about a year, right? And so, yes, we're trying to hit that 100,000 mark for that reason. And currently, at least as far as the numbers of the last, I mean, we don't get numbers every year. I think we get numbers every 4 years for the F cars. I can't remember exactly. So I think our last one was, I think it's 5 years then. I think our last one was 2020, something along that lines. But the number's actually been steadily going down. So we were in 300,000. I think the last time I checked it was like 390,000, somewhere in there, that are in the system. But then a huge portion of those are coming in and out at the same time, right? So we're trying to hit that 100,000 mark so that we can cover everyone.
Basically, every kid and young adult will have a card. That's the goal.
Exactly, yeah. And because they're fluctuating all the time, we never know what state they're in, and also what state they're in too. But yeah, we just don't know. So that's our goal. That's always kind of been our goal to hit on a yearly basis. Every year that we've been doing it, we've been getting a little bit closer and a little bit closer. Except for one year, we don't talk about that year. But we get a little bit closer. So we're hoping, we went from about 50,000 to 70,000 last year. So we're hoping that this time around we might just be able to reach that 100,000. And the good thing with all this too is that since we've been doing this for what is this, the sixth one now?
Yes.
Since we've been doing it for so long, we've been able to make a lot of connections with a lot of people. And so we've been getting requests for cards way before and after and all the time. So the more cards we have on the front end, the more that we can then give out to those agencies and send them out on their way.
Amazing. And I've just on that note, I finished my card.
Same here.
Wow. Okay, so we can check out our cards. Looky. So again, this one is on the Bailey.art website for a donation of $5 to Cards for Cubs. So amazing. There's some other ones. This one we just made it up, just like everybody else.
Made it up.
I wanted to be a card maker like everyone else and show, if you don't know how, and you have a Cricut or something, you can make something like this with just some words, some shapes, die cuts, beautiful, easy peasy.
Indeed. Yes, and of course, we're very Cricut based here.
We are.
Or like cutting machine based here. So all of ours tend to be a lot more like this. Of course, if you're more of a traditional card maker or someone that likes to do stamps and die cuts and all the traditional methods of doing it, please do. Like we're
accept them
we
readily.
we accept everything. It's just that for our skill set, this is easier for us.
Yes.
We can't teach you too much about the traditional card making yet.
Right. So remember, to be able to support Cards for Cubs, you can make a card.
Make a card.
Birthday or encouragement, please and thank you. You can be an in-person volunteer if you're in the DFW area. On April 26th, I believe, is when we'll be doing our work. So we are going through UTA's big event to do that. So might have to talk to them about if signing up, but that's where we'll be. And then throughout the year, if we don't finish our work on that day of sorting, then we have cards here. So if you're in the area, want to come in, maybe need a few hours, we will happily take them cards. And then 3, donating. So you can sponsor a case. That is, we send the case agencies to foster care a penny. They just get to receive cards and spread the joy. However, we do pay. You wanted that. It's shipping is expensive.
Yeah, it keeps
so if you can help us out, we appreciate it. And if you're a foster care agency, you can go to the website cardsforcubs.org and you can check that out, share that information, sign up, get some cards. We are happy to give them to you. Let's see. So last, again, the card guidelines. Birthday encouragement. Bundles of 10 paired with an envelope, handmade, and have a blank or short sentiment on the inside. So if you have any questions, if you've got more questions, you can go on the website and check out the card guidelines and see some. Or if you've got more questions, you can reach out to our customer service and she will happily help you guys out. I believe that's everything that I was going to mention. Donating, aside from sponsoring a case, if you don't want to sponsor a case right now, you just want to be able to spend a little bit at a time, you can do the one-time donation, and that ranges it from, I think, like $5 to $20 or more. Perhaps it goes by tens, I can't remember. And then, or you could do monthly donations. So it's like a subscription, a happy, kind subscription. So yes, check those out on the website, cardsforcubs.org. And then don't forget to follow us and subscribe to our newsletter, because we're always going to be talking about Cards for Cubs.
Oh, yes.
And the Cards for Cubs newsletter, check that out. So March 1st is tomorrow.
March 1st is tomorrow.
And
So that means we got to get busy.
Long. Yes, we're going to be busy. We have lots of cards in the office. Before, we've had piles of cards.
Oh,
and
yes.
I'm short, so it's like, but it was still
cards.
like really tall.
And every year we get a little bit better at dealing with that many cards. So this time we've got our warehouse team too, stacking them all up and getting them ready to go. So
yes, getting ready for the day of sorting. So again, check us out. Follow our Instagram, the Cards for Cubs on Instagram. And then if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. But thank you guys so much for helping us kick off the card drive
Mhm.
from now until March 31st. That's what we'll be talking about, and we'll be happily receiving many, many cards.
Many
So,
cards.
thank you guys so much. Do you have anything else to say, Jeremy?
I think that's everything. You covered it.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.